and welcome to another edition of Broad Mind, where we explore the minds of writers, authors, and beyond. Today's guest is Catherine Gibson. Kathy is an angel who conveys a powerful message. What might be thought of as a challenge can also be considered a gift, if you're willing to see it that way. That awareness has transformed the lives of countless courageous children across the country, both disabled and not. Kathy skillfully and lovingly makes her case with the wonderful stories in her books, on her children's TV show, The Kathy Gibson Show, and in her positive and uplifting talks to children and adults. She speaks in venues ranging from school auditoriums and libraries to department stores. A dance teacher and mother of 2 children, her books not only inspire disabled children to soar, they instruct those free of physical disabilities how to lovingly interact with children who are not exactly the same as them. Putting her money and her time where her mouth is, Kathy has instructed deaf children in dance and regularly reads her books to children in schools and from other platforms. The lion's share of the profits of her books is donated to children's causes through the Foundation for Children with Love, which she founded solely for the purpose of supporting charities for disabled kids. She has an endless supply of stories of celebration and triumph to tell, in words and in sign language. Her mission is to support character building and to inspire children to proudly celebrate and cheer who they are. Kathy is the recipient of the Mom's Choice Award and the Independent Book Publishers Award for her first book, Through Sophie's Eyes. In 2011, she was honored as Woman of the Year by the National Association of Professional Women. I would like to introduce and thank Kathy to our show.
Thank you. I love what you wrote there. It was beautiful. You moved me.
Oh,
thank you.
I
appreciate it. No,
try.
thank you. I appreciate it.
They're absolutely beautiful books.
Thank you. I love what I do.
I want to ask you, first of all, when did you first start writing?
Well, you know, it started a while ago. I was the dance teacher at the School for the Deaf, and that's kind of where the first book came into play. I was fascinated by sign language. I took sign language classes for about 4 years. So that was probably 2009 when it started. And then the children there, they just inspired me. They moved me completely into such a positive and changing of my feeling within. You know, it was just like I was filled with baby hearts. So the teacher there that taught the sign language asked me why I was there, if I had a deaf relative or a deaf family member, and I said no. I was just fascinated by sign language, trying to teach my own children that, and they weren't interested. And so they asked what I do for a living, and I said I was a dance teacher, and I thought it was like a form of dance, beautiful, and a form of dance. And so what ended up happening is they introduced me to the children there at the School for the Deaf. They had a preschool department called the Teddy Bear Group, and there is where I volunteered, and I taught twice a week there, and loved it. And I guess the changing point when it really triggered was people were asking me, are deaf children sad or unhappy? And that really disturbed me. And I said to them that was only a part of who they are. And they love dancing. And so at that point, I wanted to be a voice for the deaf children to just put it out there that they love to dance. And then at that time in my life, there was a little turbulence going in my personal life, and I literally just woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning and wrote the story.
Wow.
And so you just never know when things happen. And so when you get these thoughts, you should just write them down on a piece of paper and then just move forward with it, because you just never know where that journey is going to go. And so that's how that whole movement changed, by getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, writing it down, reading it the next day and saying, wow, this is not so bad. And then one thing led into another from there.
Yeah. Were you always involved with writing? I mean, from a young age? Or?
I really always loved books. I always held books. I was always holding books. People make fun of me. I would actually hold books more than dolls. My sister was holding the dolls all the time, and I was always walking around boop, 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 like a little teacher with the books all the time. So I think my family, my parents actually thought I was either going to be a teacher, which that was part of my life, and you know, or a librarian or something related to books, because I always loved books. Yeah.
Maybe a silly question, but like, have you always had the compassion that you do?
Well, I have to say, I don't know where that comes from, but as a young girl, when I was like 7, my mom had a family friend come over, and the child had some sort of illness. I can't remember what it was, but he did pass, you know, soon after. But he was in a wheelchair, and I remember them coming to the house, and all the kids were playing. And with him, I was really drawn to him, and I didn't want him to sit by himself in that wheelchair. So I actually played with him that day. We just played checkers or cards or something. But from that point forward, I don't know what it was. I was just always kind of drawn to somebody sitting alone. And so that's what kind of I incorporate in some of my books, if you read them, that if you see someone sitting alone, go sit with them. Or if you know, just someone having a hard day, just go say hi and see how they're feeling.
Yeah, you touched very nicely on that subject.
Thank you.
With what's your something
What's your
special?
something special?
Definitely.
Well, the what's your something special, that one there is more that every one of us has a gift within. It's just our choices to use our gifts.
Right.
So that's what that book there is about.
Wow. How did you go about discovering that your gift for understanding and the compassion which you show for people with challenges would be best told in published form?
Well, it wasn't pre-planned. It wasn't, you know, something that I just thought, well, this is what I want to do. Lots of times people are very, with their lists of what they want to do with their writing, and this is their goals. I had no goals at that point. All I wanted to do with that first book is just get it published, donate it to the School for the Deaf, because they just moved me in such a way that I needed to be a voice for them at that point in my life. And then I started that foundation for Children with Love because I wanted that particular book to go to different children's causes, which they do. So from there, each book has a different message, and each book goes to a different cause. But I wouldn't say it was pre-planned in any way. I would have to say that it was just something. I'm one of those kind of people who have to have meaning in anything I do in life. Yeah. So with the books, I didn't really necessarily want them to just to be a kind of a la-la book. I wanted them to be of meaning. And so with the foundation, I felt like it had more depth to it and more foundation to it to give to causes.
Wow. How long did it take you to get the foundation off the ground?
The foundation didn't take long. I mean, it's just paperwork, calling a lawyer. This is what I want. So the foundation wasn't the part that really took a long time. It was each book getting them published takes a long time. Each book took about 3 years. And you have to understand with the 2 Sophie books, they teach sign language on the front of the page. This one's in brown, that one's in blue. But it teaches you the alphabet. So you learn a lot of sign words here. So you learn the alphabet, but this is called fingerspell. So this is what took so long, not necessarily just writing the book, but just having fingerspell sign language down the side of the page. And then if you notice on the next Sophie book here, I have the alphabet. But again, it has 4 signs per page. So the words are highlighted here,
Just a little more advanced.
Yeah, so it's more advanced, but also you have to make sure. I actually, when I completed the books, I did send them to the School for the Deaf for them to kind of pre-approve the sign language because, you know, you just want to make sure that everything is updated and correct when it comes to sign language. And on the front of this book here, if you notice, this is the sign for love. And this one here is the sign for I love you. And then that's where the Sophie doll came into play. And this is the Sophie doll. She's doing the I love you hand sign and the I love you t-shirt. And then this is one of my biggest, newest love. I just can't be more prouder to have her, because this is what I wanted from the very beginning, is to have like a little Sophie doll out there. So here she is. So I'm very happy about that.
Wow. What made you choose doll for your marketing?
Adele, well, I wanted to look like the Sophie character in my stories. And so when I had the second book, I thought definitely I wanted a doll. And really, little girls, that's what they love, is holding a doll. And she's doing the I love you hand sign. And I just thought it would be a very, it's funny. It's not just parents buying the doll for their children. What's happening is women my age are buying for their girlfriends just to say I love you, because we're all crazy and we all love each other very much. And I think also a lot of people are starting to buy her for people that are not well. So what my next marketing thing is to go into different florists and try to sell her with the flowers. So instead of sticking a teddy bear in a basket of flowers or fruit, they stick little Sophie in there saying, I love you.
Oh, that's nice.
So that's, that's where I'm headed with that.
Absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
I understand that with What's Your Something Special, you have a poem you would like to read?
Oh, I would love to. Now, this one here, in the storyline, it is about a girl who is in a wheelchair and she sees kids playing on the playground, and she wants to do what they do, run around and play and do the same things they do. But as the story progresses, she finds within herself that you don't have to be physically able to do fun things. You can find other ways of enjoying yourself. And finds out that she really is a great writer. And she actually helps her friend Beth that she's a great artist. And so they end up collaborating and doing fun things together. But basically the message in this story is that we all have a gift within. It's just our choices to use our gifts. But we're all blessed with gifts. We're not chosen. Nobody's chosen to have a gift in life. We all have that gift within to be blessed. So this title is called What's Your Something Special? When you find your special something, you'll know it right away. It comes from deep inside of you and never goes away. It's something you've always had but can't find in a book. Don't give up, just try again and take another look. There is a special gift that only you can share. The more that you give from your heart, the more you'll find is there. When you look inside yourself, believe in what you see, you'll find your special something. Your heart will hold the key. And then on the other side here, the children each get a card like this in the book. And actually, there's a page in the book where they can write what their something special is. So each book, the first two Sophie books, teach the sign language. And there they are learning to communicate with each other through sign. The What's Your Something Special here, again, addresses how to write poetry or a rhyme, but in a fun way for kids to enjoy. And then the Coach Bob and Me book.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
That is a really nice
that one there is about two people having differences and seeing their differences in each other. If you don't mind, I'll pull it up here and show you. I'll give you a quick history on this one. This guy here, Bobby, his name is Bob Beltrandi. He and I actually went to high school together back in, I was actually graduated in 82. He graduated in 81. He was a big football player. We double dated. He was a good friend of mine. He was dating one of my friends. So here's this big football player. Years later, he ends up getting into a car accident. So I would say it's almost about 30 years later. I knew he taught at the school. I knew he was in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
But my experience is when I walked into my son's school, he was working out with Bob in the workout room. So here's this glass wall. Bobby's in the wheelchair, and my son's laughing and having a great time. My son has a mild case of Asperger's. It's he's very mild. I mean, he's very outgoing and all that, but he actually just pulled out the shyness in him.
Yeah.
Instead of sitting alone that I addressed in the storyline, he kind of makes him part of the crowd type of thing. And so in the storyline, I actually took pictures of them on the football field, Bobby on the field in the wheelchair, and how the guys actually brought him up to the field and everything. And I took pictures of both my son and Bobby. But it's not a true story. Again, the title just came to me when I saw the two of them enjoying each other's company and not seeing the differences in each other. And it really, the school, I think at first, because I addressed it, bullying, they weren't thrilled about that because they didn't want their school to be labeled as bullying. But I did let them all know that it had nothing to do with the students. The students were wonderful. But that book there, a third goes to Coach Bob.
Nice.
A third goes to St. Paul's High School. And a third, I started a Coach Bob Scholarship Fund at that school. So what happens is the teachers at the end of the year get together and they choose the child that's most giving from the heart unconditionally. So it's not for the football player or the basketball player or any of those students. It's for the selected child that's the kindest to others in that school, and then that child gets the Coach Bob Scholarship Fund at the end of the year, depending on how many books are sold at that time. So each book, like I said, has its own special something.
Schools, take note.
Schools, yeah. I love schools. I have to say, visiting all the schools, teachers, all the things that they do for students, they're great, and I love visiting schools. It's wonderful.
I want to ask you about the illustrations. They are just exquisite.
Thank you. Oh, wow. Thank you.
How do you pick your illustrators?
Well, right now in my life, I've been focusing on, I'm very local. I like local. So they're all local illustrators. And Robert Norica did the first 2 Sophie books for me. He's a local artist.
Very nice.
He did watercolors, and I fell in love with his artwork. And then this book here, I don't know, do you know Janice Hector?
Yes.
She's
yes, I do.
another local artist that I've seen her work before, and so I thought that she would be perfect for that one. But this one here, the What You're Something Special book, has a different
Very
kind of
pastel kind of
yeah,
feel.
it does. It's
nice.
interesting with this lady, though, how this came to be. She did an art. I did a book signing at the Simsbury Library, and I'm always drawn to pictures. I love paintings, and I saw one of her paintings on the wall, and I said, "Who is this? Who did this artwork?" It was of a child. And they said, "Oh, she's a local librarian, not an artist. She's just a local librarian, and she donated this picture to the library." And I said, "My gosh, I would love to meet her." And they said, "Well, she's right down the road at the Avon location." So I went there, introduced myself to her, and told her about my books. And she said, "I've read your books before. We have them here at the location." And I said, "Well," they actually told me ahead of time that she always wanted to be a children's illustrator of a children's book.
Yeah.
So when I went there, I said, "I'm hoping that we can work together." I said, "I would love for you to do my next book for me." And she literally slowly sat down and started to cry. And of course, I react so quickly to people's emotions, so I start crying. So we're both crying, but they're all happy tears. And she said, "I would love to." And then that's how that kind of came to be. So like I said, the whole, Robert and I are, going to be lifelong friends, and you have this long-term friendship because you collaborate together in such a artistic and fun way, and it's such a wonderful experience.
Yeah, I want to say that for sometimes children's authors, you have to pick and choose the illustrator that best fits
the story,
your story, and it's just funny how, for that one, keep on forgetting the title. Oh,
Which is something
special.
Yes,
it has a very, very soft touch, and it goes along with that. Something special.
Yeah.
As with the other ones, with the watercolor, it tells a different story, but yet it just goes along really, really well. I don't know if it's because the Sophie Discover Synchronized Swimming. There's something about watercolor and the depiction of water in that way.
Well, these are true
really,
artists.
Really nice.
They really
just
love
really
what they
beautiful.
do, and they love the watercolors, and I love that soft feel to it. So I have to really love what they do in order to have them work on the project with me. And it's a long project. It's like 3 years worth of working with that person one-on-one to get what you want. And I'm very visual, so lots of times I'll sketch certain things out beforehand. And I'm kind of blunt because I'll say, "Oh, I don't know about that."
Well, sometimes you have to be. You do
you have to be because it's your baby. It's your project. So I have to kind of voice that.
Yeah, because I noticed, like with Coach Bob and me, like you were asking if I knew Gina's Hector. I do know her work with Molly Ostrowski.
Yes.
And
but she really prevailed in this. The way she really,
it's a little more stark, a little more bold.
And she really grasps the actual what these people really look like.
Right.
And that's what the only flaw that I wish I did differently is I wish I put the actual picture of Coach Bob, Stefan, and Jude Kelly is the main coach at the St. Paul's High School, and I wish I actually put their actual picture in the back of the book, just so people can really see the likeness of the true pictures that are in the book.
Because I was going to say the child that's depicted definitely looks like Stefan.
Oh, it does, doesn't it?
It's really, they're all fantastic books.
Thank you. I love it.
I can't say enough.
Thank you.
It's really wonderful.
You're great.
And you were talking about the sign language and everything. I want to bring up something too.
Sure.
That it's not only found in books, but there's also kind of a new restaurant in Toronto, and it's called Signs.
Oh, really?
Where they only hire the waitstaff that are deaf.
Oh, wow.
And their menus.
Where is this?
Are in Toronto.
Oh, wow.
I think it's on Yonge. I'm not sure.
I wouldn't mind checking that out.
But the entire menu is in sign language, just like what you
Very
you
cool.
showed.
That
So if you want to order, but you could do it through lip reading. You know, I'm pretty good at that. I've had enough.
I'll have to check into that and
compassion
see
and
what
work
that's
with
all
people,
about.
even in retail.
Yeah.
But it's
well,
really,
sign language
really
to me
incredible.
is like a form of dance, and I find that this is the sign for beautiful. I find it very beautiful.
It's the gestures.
It's the gestures, and when I do see people that are deaf and they are signing, I'm gravitated towards them. It's the strangest thing. I have no idea why I am, and I'm drawn to it, and I really try to figure out like almost what they're saying, because it's just, sign language is just so interesting to me.
Fluid too, when you see it.
Yeah.
I was going to say it makes sense because, you know, dancing, you're moving with your feet, and it's sometimes very, very exquisite in how they do it.
Well, they had recently on Dancing with the Stars, that gentleman that won on Dancing with the Stars, he was deaf.
Wow.
So he felt the vibrations of the music coming through the dance floor, and that's how he was. And it was remarkable how he danced, because he doesn't hear the music, and they actually shut down the music on the TV show just so people can experience how he dances without music.
Yeah. But when you use your hands, there's like a fluidity, and it's like your hands are dancing too. But I'm sure a lot of people don't think of it that way unless you experience something like that.
Yeah.
You have your own show,
Yes,
the Catherine Gibson Show.
Do fun.
Can you tell the audience what it's about and the format?
Sure. Well, it's called the Cathy Gibson Show, and Michael LaChance is the gentleman that I work with. He and I collaborate together. He is the person that is all the voices for all the characters on the show. So there's Bluesy, which is our main character. We have a shark on the show. We have a couple other fun characters that I enjoy. It's all on character building, being kind to others, the same message as my books. But I really enjoy hanging with the puppets, I have to say. I want to be the next, I'll be the Mrs. Rogers Neighborhood.
I was going to say that.
Yeah, I love Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I loved all that kind of stuff. So who knows where the show will go. But I enjoy very much the TV show.
Wow, that's just absolutely
fantastic.
I love it. You pretty much nailed what I was going to say. I was going to say sort of a Mr. Rogers type.
Yeah,
I saw little parts of
the show.
Yeah,
I love talking to the puppet.
As a matter of fact, if we can roll a clip, we can see the Catherine Gibson Show.
Are you ready to learn?
Ready to learn.
Are you ready for fun.
Ready for fun.
We can show you just how it's done. We're gonna do it all
Do it all.
before the day is done.
And you what? You love books,
I
right?
love books.
You love
I'm
books.
chicken.
And reading.
I'm reading.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow. That is just absolutely fantastic. And you're looking
Thank
at the
you.
next Mrs. Rogers
Neighborhood.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
I have to ask you, what is next for you?
What is next for me? Well, my next goal really is to get the TV show to another level,
Mm-hmm.
more nationwide. That's one of my goals. But presently, I'm working on another book.
Mm.
It's called Daisy May, and it's about a dog that is homeless. The story that I'm doing it for is actually Renee DiNino. Your viewers might know who she is. She's amazing.
iHeartRadio.
Lady. Oh, she's the best from Heart Radio.
Yeah.
She's also part of Channel 3 and Better Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a very big advocate and voice for animal rights. So when she asked me to write for her this book for rescue dogs, I jumped all over it because so the book is almost completed. Hopefully by next week it's going to get ready for print. And so that book will be coming out soon. But I would say that book and the TV show are the two things that I'm focusing on now to get out there.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
How can people find your books?
Great. Well, you can go to my website. It's called FOR Children with Love and .com. And visit the website. You can actually get all the books there and the doll there. And thank you for having me. I appreciate
absolutely.
it. It was
Thank
wonderful.
you, Kathy.
Thank you so much.
You're an absolute delight, and your books are absolutely charming.
Thank you.
And for your next project, I'm looking really forward to it, and I think that they couldn't choose a better person.
Thank you.
With your compassion, and you are indeed an angel.
Thank you.
And I have to say,
You're so lovely.
I don't want to make you cry or anything.
I know. All these wonderful compliments. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
I want to thank our audience for tuning in to Broad Mind. I'm your host, D.L. Rotkiewicz. Until then.